Honorable Senators, I hereby report to the Senate that a petition has been submitted to the Senate by Mr. Kimtai Kirui and other residents of Uasin Gishu County concerning the First Choice Recruitment and Consultancy Agency. As you're aware, under Article 119(1) of the Constitution, and I quote, "Every person has a right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including enacting, amending, or repealing any legislation." Honorable Senators, the salient issues raised in these petition are: 1, that the First Choice Recruitment and Consultancy Agents allegedly obtained money from an estimated youth of 500 in number to facilitate them with jobs and studies placement abroad before the start of the 2022 World Cup. 2, that the agency failed to facilitate the said jobs and studies placement, leaving the youth and their families wallowing in poverty, having committed all they had to the agency in the hope of securing employment. And C, that the victims of these devious acts and the part of the First Choice have made efforts to seek redress through security agencies such as the police and the county commissioner, which have borne no fruit. Instead, they've been profiled, threatened, and intimidated. The petitioners, therefore, pray that Senate intervenes in this matter with a view to recommend that the youth and their families be reimbursed their money by the agency and the perpetrators be brought to book, and that necessary precautions are put in place to ensure that such agencies have observations or clarifications in relation to the petition for not more than 30 minutes. And in this regard, I'm going to allow at least 3 minutes for any senator who wishes to contribute to this matter. You do not need to contribute if you don't have anything to say, so that we save time. If you look at our order paper today, it's heavy. We have a lot of business to transact. So the less we spend time on an agenda item, the better, so that we can be able to prosecute the entire business contained in today's order paper. Thank you. Yes, majority.
Mr. Speaker, I beg your indulgence. I know Standing Order number 237 permits you to allow comments, observations, or clarifications in relation to a petition presented and reported, and such total time shall not exceed 30 minutes. But it doesn't expressly provide in a situation such as today, where you have more than one petition. So in such instances, as per the Standing Order, Mr. Speaker, we refer back to Standing Order number 1, which gives you the authority to guide the House on how to transact any particular business. The request that I want to make to you, Mr. Speaker, is that in light of the fact that on the order paper there is another petition, perhaps you could allow for it to be read, then now allow all of us to make comments, because in the form and text of Standing Order number 237, it's general comments that you're making about petitions generally, so that members can speak to either of the petition. Otherwise, the reverse will be that we spend 30 minutes on the first and 30 minutes on the second. So I beg your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, if you may permit. Thank you.
Very well, Majority Leader. Indeed, I'm going to call upon Senator Joseph Kithuku Kamau to present his petition, and thereafter we are going to make comments on both petitions within half an hour. Proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Petition to the Senate by Mr. James Gakonga and other residents of Lamu, Baringo, Nairobi City, and Kiambu counties concerning Leader Soccer tapping into 302 billion football economy. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 232(1)B, I hereby present the Senate petition by Mr. James Gakonga and other residents of Lamu, Baringo, Nairobi City, Kiambu counties concerning Leader Soccer tapping into 202 billion football economy. As you are aware, under Article 119(1) of the Constitution, and I quote, every person has a right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority, including enacting, amending, or repealing any legislation. Honorable Senators, the salient issue raised in these petitions are: A, that the Kenya enjoys a well-deserved reputation as a sporting nation. However, this reputation is not reflected in the football sector. B, that the football administration in Kenya has been marred by corruption, maladministration, and lack of accountability, which have negatively impacted on the industry, leaving the football players and other public without hope with the sector. C, that many youth talented as football players have opted to move to other countries in search of opportunities to play professional football, and thus the transformation of the sector would be quite beneficial to many youths seeking to establish themselves in professional football, and in turn, the football economy will be boosted. D, that the adoption of Linda Soccer, tapping into 302 billion shillings, football economy presents a good opportunity to restore the sector and transform Kenya football and the football economy as a whole. And E, that the petition have made efforts to have this matter addressed by the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Heritage, all of which have not been successful. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, the petition therefore prays that the Senator intervenes in this matter with a view of introducing a legislation on sports management, administration, and governance, which will address such matters in sports, including football, and also propose for allocation of more resources to sports to the counties, which will enable county governments invest in its sport development. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to comment on those two petitions. First and foremost, I support the two petitions. At one time, Mr. Speaker, I had an opportunity to be the Secretary for Youth and Sports in this country, and I'm very familiar with what the Honorable Senator is presenting. Sports is an industry which brings serious income into the country and employs youth and even pays very well, Mr. Speaker. Even a footballer who is well known or is in the right football clubs in the world is likely to earn not even less than 30 million shillings per month and much more. And therefore, it cuts across. Ethiopia has now been rebuilt by its sports people who compete with us very closely. One of the biggest challenges is how we interact with the international community, how we interact with the FIFA, how at times we don't get even some of the sponsorships we should be getting abroad, and also the tapping and annexing of talent in this country. The other challenge, which has taken quite some years, is the stadiums, especially now devolved stadiums. Mr. Speaker, we should be having serious stadia, at least in every county since the devolution started. A stadia of international standards. And having good stadia even will put Kenya in a position to be able even to hold Olympics in this country, so that even different games can be performed or can be competed in different counties around Nairobi, you know, even in Mombasa, Kilifi, all the places, so that we must prepare ourselves so that one time we can be able to hold Olympics in this country. African Championship we have done, but we have not yet gotten to the level of Olympics. So I support the petition. We really need to invest in stadia. In Makueni County, we have water stadia, which has taken many years to build. It has never been completed. I'm aware of many other stadiums in the country which are not complete, and that's where the talent is first tapped, so that we can be able to have a super sports person, a super footballer, who is able to represent the country nationally. Finally, on the first petition from Eldoret about these young people who got conned, Mr. Speaker, there are many agencies in this country conning people in all manner of ways. And some of these companies have been registered by the registrar of companies. Allegedly, they have lawyers. Young people have been conned by people pretending that they are going to take them abroad to work. Young people have been conned very smartly by people who pretend that they can be able to help them even in the sporting world, or can be able to travel and be hired by other countries to represent them, and they have ended up losing lots of money. I really want to warn Kenyans through this podium, because I'm sure many Kenyans are watching. First, when a deal is too good, think twice. And secondly, let the young people always consult their parents, consult their senators, consult their leaders, consult somebody else, consult their professors before they get involved in these deals. Nothing comes easy. Everything is hard work. But again, also, where these reports, by the time they come to Senate, I believe this makes a prima facie case for prosecution. The relevant government bodies, and I believe that's where this House will send the petition, should be able to investigate and arrest these people, no matter how powerful or connected they are, so that first and foremost, they can be able to return the monies to these particular people, or even they can be able, it's not necessarily every time a crime has been committed that it must be, somebody must end up in jail. They can come to an agreement and, have the matter sorted out amicably. Their money is returned, I'm sure. All that they want is their money is back. And Kenyans be aware so that in future we don't lose money in these dubious acts. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader. Senator Kathuri Murungi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity also to give my brief comments on the two petitions. Number one, the first petition from Uasin-Gishu County, Honorable Speaker. You know, our youth are very desperate because, as you know, there are no jobs at the moment. And when this issue that they are being recruited for jobs outside the country, most of them are very enthusiastic that they are going for greener pastures. So, Honorable Speaker, I know the Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, like the time even I served in the National Assembly, they have been grappling this issue, even traveling to Saudi Arabia and other countries, Middle East, so they can check whether those the youths are going to the right destinations. And Honorable Speaker, even the committee, the standing committee on labor of this house, this town, I know they were in Saudi Arabia and they reported back to this house, Mr. Speaker. So it is very, very important that our committee, which is domiciled in this house, also digs into this matter so that the youth, the petitioners from Uasin-Gishu can get, can be heard, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the other issue is about development of football in this country. Mr. Speaker, we have very many issues about football development. And I know is the last few years, as my colleague has put it, about the stadiums. There are so many stadiums which are to be developed, and I know this time most of them will be completed.